Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol.
And welcome to Cycle Sunday.
Now then, we are here in Edinburgh in your wonderful new bike shop.
Yes, we are.
In the Wonder Room.
The Wonder Room.
Surrounded by the most incredible bikes. Now, the two behind me over my left shoulder, this Madone is just
Special.
delicious.
It's nice.
Properly special.
Yeah.
Anyway, over the last few months, since we've been starting Cycle Sunday,
Yep.
we have been overwhelmed with questions.
And more importantly, phenomenal questions. Really good questions.
Really good ones. And we tried to put as much stuff as we could into the videos and then into the podcast, and hopefully you've been tuning into both of those. If you haven't listened to any of the podcasts, then please take your time. They're available on iTunes, on Google, on Spotify, on YouTube. All you need to do is search for Cycle Sunday podcasts on any platform and you will find them somewhere. So have a listen to those. But even with that extra hour on top of each video episode, we still weren't able to kind of answer everything. And also, some of the questions that you've asked, we hadn't even thought of. So
and more importantly, they've inspired more videos.
They have.
And more content.
They have indeed.
Yes.
So we thought we would just spend 20 minutes going through a few of your questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
While I'm up here filming lots of other Cycle Sunday content.
More to come.
More to come. So I'm going to go through it now. We've had questions across Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So I'll give you a shout out. So we're going to start with Tris Bird. So first one, basically looking to buy the first road bike and wondering what you would recommend. Keep up the incredible work on your videos. Thank you very much. So this is one of the inspiring ones, is it not?
Very much so. And what you've basically inspired us to do is not just what you're looking for in your first road bike, but also we've done a buyer's guide for different types of bikes, from entry level to mid-range to high-end, covering road, covering mountain bike, covering hybrid. We've gone into e-bike specific ones, and we've even gone into a full gravel bike one as well.
So there's loads of stuff coming, so stay tuned for that. So it's probably, I guess, watch those videos and we will hopefully answer that question. Basically, we cover bikes that go from like £600 to £13,000.
Yes.
So we have covered, and I don't think it's an easy question because Paul's stock answer, having spent a lot of time around you now, would be, what are you going to want to use the bike for?
Yes.
And what's the kind of 80% of the time, what are you going to use the bike for? So watch those videos, Tris Bird, and hopefully we will answer that question.
Indeed.
And also, we're going to it's even inspired us to put those videos in shorter chunks on your website as a buying guide on Criterium Cycles website, because it was such a good question.
Yes.
Okay, now, Colton Cleveringer, my #1 US fan and buyer of my merch. What makes the Bianchi brand special to me and you? I just love Bianchi. I think it's its heritage and its kind of history. It's a very special brand, and I think there's something about an Italian bike that is very, very special. But a couple of questions that were really interesting from Colton. He loves mountain biking before the family came along. Ain't that always the case? Surrounded by off-road trails and dirt roads in America. Sounds dreamy.
Yes.
Stuck with what kind of bike? 85% will be off-road and 15% of his riding on-road. What do you think?
Yeah, great question. It's the type of off-road that you have. So we would always say, if you've got 85% off-road, 15% on-road, then the latest generation of gravel bikes, watch our gravel bike video when that comes out. Hopefully that'll help answer your questions. But gravel bike sounds pretty good. However, don't forget that gravel bikes only have a limited tyre width and tyre volume, which means if the off-road that you're doing tends to have quite deep, gravelly, rocky type terrain, then what can happen is that the tyre width can start tramlining and digging into that terrain. That's where a mountain bike with a bigger volume tyre that floats on the surface of it really comes into its own. So the question back to you is, if it's quite hard pack, with sort of little stones on the top of it, then a gravel bike should roll over that lovely. If it's
gnarly,
if it's slightly more gnarly with sort of deeper stones that a gravel bike tyre could tramline into, mountain bike.
Cool. And then we did use the term, this is the final question from Colton, what is a winter bike?
Now, I live in Scotland, Colton. Somebody to ask what a winter bike is.
I've got a simple answer.
Yes.
A winter bike is an excuse to buy a new summer bike.
It absolutely is.
It's basically your old summer bike with mudguards on it.
Yes.
N+1.
Yes, all the time, every day.
So typically that is, it's an older bike that you don't want to take your lovely new bike out when it's wet and there's salt and grit on the roads, and
yes.
you have an older bike
yes.
with maybe more kind of grippy tyres. You've got some mudguards on there.
Yes.
That's a winter bike.
Indeed, but I think that's his point really. What's winter?
Yeah.
I'm seeing you.
We live on the south coast. Yeah. I've been up here 2 days and it's never stopped raining. Brilliant. So thank you for those, Colton.
Great
Now, moving on, Chris Whelan. So first of all, he's loving all the videos and says hi, which is great.
Hi, Chris.
And he's enjoying the podcast as well. Now, a simple question. Absolutely adores the XR4 frame. So that's the frame that we've been building,
yes.
the Bianchi XR4.
Yep.
And simple question. Can you tell me the real difference between an XR4 and an XR3?
Yes. One. Sorry, Chris.
See what you did there. Or
yes.
One's an Escort, one's a Sierra.
Yeah. No, the difference between an XR3 and an XR4 is the XR4 has basically, it's the factory frame. And our buyer's guide actually starts going through the differences between all these different types of models and price points. So what basically happens is an XR4 is a full factory beans bike, and it's got the best materials, it's got the best aerodynamics. The XR3 has got exceptional aerodynamics and exceptional materials, but built to a price point that suits a slightly more mass market.
Good answer. I like your answer. Very tactful. The Speed Machine 35.
What a great name.
Also known as Francois G for YouTube Petrol Ped subscribers.
Hi, Francois.
Question for Paul. What bike component do you see fail most often, and how did you get into the cycling industry?
I'll answer the second question first. How did I get into the cycle industry? I took an absolutely wonderful career and threw it all away. No, we absolutely love it. I've been an avid cyclist for over 30 years. Yes, I know, you can put it in the comments, I don't look that old to be riding bike for 30 years. But yeah, I've been an avid rider for over 30 years. I have worked in multiple industries, namely in the motor trade as well, and just brought the two together. My love for the motor industry and sales in general with a product that I have been following for nearly 30 years and is massively passionate about. So that's how we got into the industry.
I need to jump in here as well, and I think I said this at the beginning of the Cycle Sunday series. Getting to know Paul and getting to talk about bikes with Paul, every day is a school day. I learn something every time I talk to you about bikes. Your depth of knowledge in terms of the technology and all the different types of bikes and the different things you need to look out for. But what I love about it is the customer-oriented way you approach stuff.
Yeah.
You are one of the best salespeople I've ever met, but you don't try and sell me stuff that's not right for me.
No.
Anyway, so what was the next bit?
Sorry, just one final bit on that. You're absolutely right. It's all about the customer, and a lot of the stuff that I learn is through things like these questions.
Yeah.
So customers fire questions at me and have done for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I then go and find and research the answer to be able to answer them, that I then have the knowledge to be able to answer the same question in the future.
Yeah.
So it's a total two-way street.
You're just like a big knowledge sponge. Bike component that fails most often.
Wow, what a great question. It's not necessarily components that fail the most, but what tends to fail the most is a bike that just hasn't been well maintained.
Yeah.
So it's more what we've got to do with modern bikes, and this is what we're trying to instill across all of our customers, is move away from the fix it when broken mentality and start doing a lot more proactive servicing and maintenance. So that would be what I say. And whenever we have, and if you look on the Criterium Cycles website and you go onto our video library, you'll see how for all of our customer database, we've got a lot of basic maintenance guides on there, a detailed tutorial on how to properly clean and lubricate your chain, how to wash your bike properly. These all sound really patronising and easy knowledge stuff. But yeah, do more proactive maintenance and stop having failures on your bike.
Don't let Paul know you use WD-40 on your bike. Anyway, linked to that, I'm going to jump a question. So Robert Patrick Lacey said, what kind of service can I do on my bike every 6 months with basic tools? Because that's quite a linked thing.
Fabulous question. So think about what you are asked to do by your car dealership when you pick up your new car. You need to, in between servicing, maintain your car. What does that mean? You've got to wash it, you've got to hoover it, you've got to check your tyre pressures, you've got to check your oil, you've got to top up your scooters. You've got to do all those basic maintenance. When you hear a noise, you don't just keep driving it until something blows up. You take it in and you get a professional to have a look at it. Let's do that with our bikes, guys. You pick up your brand new bike, from day one, clean it. Yeah, you go out for a ride, don't go in for a cup of tea, clean your bike, clean and lubricate your chain. Make sure that if it's a suspension bike, mountain bike, that you actually clean the shock shaft properly. Make sure that you're topping up your tyre pressures before every ride that you go out. Chain, lubricated, clean, jockey wheels on the derailleur, clean. And then every 4 to 6 months, take it back to the bike shop, get it assessed and start doing little bits and pieces all the time.
Yeah.
You'll then never get that big bill.
Brilliant. Now the next one's really interesting. This is from Roger Williams, 1781. Hopefully that was not your birthday. Are you thinking about fitting a power meter, and do you think they are a bonus or a distraction? For me, a really interesting question. I've never ridden a bike with a power meter, but often considered it, normally put off by the fact that to get a decent one, they're quite expensive. But you've got a really good answer to this.
Yes, it is a fabulous question. I have been riding, as we've already said, for in excess of 30 years. And to go and do the Marmot, which was a big bucket list road ride for me in the Alps. Wonderful, wonderful
Basically,
day in the
lots
sun.
of mountains in a day.
Oh, it's just lovely.
Galibier and...
Yeah, Galibier, Cold Telegraph. It's absolutely lovely. The top and bottom of it was that I did take that very, very seriously because I didn't want to hurt myself. I've got a business to run. So I did a structured training program on Trainer Road using my turbo trainer, and I even built a bike for my turbo trainer that was the same frame as the ride bike that I was going to ride the Marmot on, so I was absolutely in the same riding position for my training as I was to do the ride itself. The turbo trainer was clearly a smart trainer, so it had a power meter built into it, and then I fitted power meters to my road bike, which meant that I could take that structured training. I knew what my FTP was, which is my functional threshold performance. So then I had the data to be able to ride the Marmot on my power numbers.
Yeah.
And it enabled me to ride, adjusted for acclimatization as a sea-level trained rider, to riding up to virtually 9,000 feet to the top of the Galibier. So I adjusted my FTP percentages to ensure that I didn't ride in the red. And I got round the Marmot and I had a lovely, lovely day on my bike. However, all of that training and all that training on numbers and riding that seriously, I did forget to enjoy riding my bike.
Wow.
So my only advice would be, yes, take it seriously because it's a great sport with lots of data and lots of numbers to play with. But always remember, we love riding our bikes because we love being with people and we love riding and getting fresh air.
Yeah, there's a really interesting book. I love the numbers, and
Yes.
like most people, I'm on Strava and I check my numbers when you finish and get really disheartened because I'm nowhere near King of the Mountains and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. Just
get bogged down.
What I loved about you said something yesterday off camera. You were talking about your gravel bike, and you said you don't ride your gravel bike even with a Garmin. You just go out and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, no Strava, no Garmin. I just ride with Rosie, my wife, on her gravel bike, and we both feel like kids again.
Yeah,
we just take our bikes and we just go and make up a route. Yeah. We don't know where we're going. Yeah. We go and make up a route. We get home and we're just giggling all the time. So that's what riding a bike's about.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we've only got about 5 minutes left, so let's rattle through a few. Gasman Keith, what are your thoughts on the pros and cons of oval chainrings?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to get involved in a debate between performance differences with oval versus round chainrings. There's people a darn sight cleverer than me to be able to do that. The only thing I would say is that I rarely advise anybody moving outside of original equipment.
Yeah.
So, you've got to bear in mind, if you've got a Campag or a Shimano or a SRAM setup, that all of those components, the chain rings, the cassette, the derailleurs, everything has been designed as a unit, as a system. So the moment that you start moving away, particularly on something as fundamental as shifting from inner to outer chainring through its front derailleur that was never designed for that chainring, you will have lots of people in the comments turning around and saying, I fitted oval chain rings and never had a problem, and we'll probably have the equal amount of people who will say, I fitted oval chain rings and my shifting was absolutely horrendous. One thing that you'll never have is a properly set up OE system, well maintained. You will never have a problem shifting.
Good. Okay, excellent. Next one, let's try and do this quickly. So Mike JF, how many people have you done a fit for that have L3 to L5 fused, or I guess we could say just quite severe back?
Yeah. So basically for fused vertebrae. We actually have a customer who is on number. He's had quite a few bikes from us, mainly hybrids, and he's now on an e-bike. And he's actually got 4 fused vertebrae, and he's also a consultant at a hospital as well. So he's really great to talk to, and he manages to ride his bike and what have you. When it comes to bike fitting, we are not doctors, we are not physios. There are fitters out there who are more medically trained than I am. So, that's absolutely fine. But when it comes to people with either chronic issues or severe issues that they give me I've got this issue and can you please be careful, I will be careful, but I'd also recommend that there is also a conversation between physio and doctor and what have you, so something isn't exacerbated. Good shout. Excellent. Chris Gams Photography. Will I be taking the Ultra X R4 out in the wet? No. It's a simple answer to that. If it rains when I'm out, you can't do much about it, but I won't take it out if it's raining. It's like, ask a hypercar owner, do they take their, McLaren Senna out in the rain or in the cold? No, they don't. They leave it for a nice sunny day. I've got my Venge for a horrible day. Simple as, really. Yes. Now then, next question. From Nick Fry. Hi, Nick. I know this is going to ignite the comments. Just a quick question that strangely never got covered. We kind of did, but kind of didn't. Which brakes actually stop you better, rim or disc? He said, in his experience, rim brakes, albeit some years ago, were frightening, especially in the wet, if the rims were wet, whereas discs work great, because clearly we put discs onto the XR4. Yes. Great question, and and one that is going to ignite the comments. So hey, just fill your boots. From my experience, I run my Trekimonda with a rim brake on a carbon wheel, and I've always found it absolutely fine and ample, really good. And I've also run a disc brake on my gravel bike that I find really ample and great. Both give a lovely modulation. Neither feel on-off. Neither feel scary. However, I would say that, and I covered, and this is what we did cover in the in the video, was the fact that every time I pull my brakes on my road bike, I know that I'm wearing the rim of a 1,000-pound wheel at each end.
And I know a few people have commented and said, well, I've been running carbon rims and for 5 or 10 years, and that's fine. I think it really depends on how much of a braker you are.
And how heavy you are.
And we said that in the podcast, the more you're on your brakes and stuff.
So I'm a pretty confident descender, but when I need to anchor on, I've got 90 odd kilos to stop. So, so you
90 in your dream.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, okay, in my right leg. But the top and bottom of it is that ultimately a good quality braking system, whether rim or disc, the chances are will probably overwhelm the tyre. Before you run out of brakes. So sometimes your tyre is the limiting factor with the friction between the tyre and the road. But also, it's slightly academic. Because both braking systems are really, really good. But 99% of bikes that are being produced for the mass market and also boutique brands, because that is the way the industry is going. It's not a fad, it's here to stay, is the disc solution.
Quick question, how many bikes are in this bike shop?
How many bikes
at the moment?
Bike shop?
Rough feel.
Oh, flip. Lots and lots and lots. I mean, 150, 160.
And how many of them have rim brakes?
We've got 3 kids' bikes with rim brakes.
There you go. I guess that very quickly, in the wet, it may well be that a disc dries up and starts to perform better a bit quicker than a rim, but
potentially, because the rim is closer to the road surface, whereas the disc rotor is further away from the road surface. So, but ultimately, both brake systems work really well. But guys, if you're looking for a brand new bike, start jumping on the disc bandwagon, because you're going to struggle getting a bike. You know.
Cool. Okay. Right. We are slightly over time, but there's one more question, which will kind of leave us to a nice open out. And I like it very much. Greg, 321 Davis. Apparently, I just need an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, a bike rack, and to take it to the Stelvio Pass.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Anyway, on that bombshell, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. I'll put all the details of Paul and Criterium Cycles in the description below. Keep tuning into the Cycle Sunday podcast, and keep tuning into Cycle Sunday. We've got loads of cool stuff coming your way, and we've still got the build of the bike. I know we've had to delay that, but hopefully you all understand. But in the meantime, we've got lots of cool stuff coming your way.
And anyway, keep those questions coming.
Keep them coming, and we'll do another one of these. And if you enjoyed the Q&A format, let us know, and we can always do another one. Anyway, guys, it's that time. Ride safe.
Ride safe, everyone.